What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here's our new project to work on. It's a 02, 3, I forget what he said, 7.3 powerstroke diesel. It won't run. This belonged to a friend of mine, and he bought it at an auction, and it wouldn't run. And it needed a clutch also, so it had a clutch put in it. Yeah, it would crank when he first got it, but it was missing, running on about half cylinders, and it was warm weather. And so then next time we got ready to crank it, it wouldn't crank at all. We pulled it with a tractor, got it cranked, and it was running just horrible. Couldn't hardly keep it running. And the warmer it got, the better it started to run. And once it got up to full operating temperature, it didn't have any power down low, but after about 1500 RPMs, it run like normal. It run really good. But you had to really slip the clutch to get it to take off. Had no low end power. Once it cooled off, wouldn't crank again, never cranked since. So what I think's going on with it is the injector poppet valves is wore beyond spec, and that allows your it's got a plate on top of the injector, and your magnet picks that plate up, pulls the poppet valve open to open the injectors. Once that clearance gets off, the oil causes the that plate to stick to the top of the injector body. So we're going to shim the injectors in it and try that instead of replacing all of them. He bought the shim kit to do it with. Hasn't brought it to me yet. He's had it for about 2 weeks. So I don't know what the deal is with that. But anyway, you got to pull the valve covers off. Everything you got to do to pull the injectors out, basically, except you don't actually have to pull the injectors out unless you want to make it a little easier, so you can work with them on the table. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and pull everything apart, get the valve covers off so we can look at the top of the injectors. And I'm not sure how long that'll take, but that's what I'm gonna do. And then I will bring you guys back when start shimming the injectors, and we'll check the specs on them and see if they are out of spec. Shim them, get them in spec, and then we'll see if the thing will run after that. Hopefully it will. All right, guys, I got the valve cover off of the driver's side here. This is the easiest side to get to, so I'm doing it first, and I'm gonna try to get you guys up in here to see what I'm doing. But basically, what we're gonna do is pull this electrical connector right here, loosen it up. We got to take out these 4 screws right here. The solenoid will come off. So I'm going to set you guys up over here on the tripod and take these out. I think this is supposed to be a 15 Torx Plus bit. I don't have one of those. They're supposed to send one in the kit, but somebody apparently grabbed the wrong size. They sent a 20. So I'm using a 15 regular Torx and hoping not to strip them. So anyway, I'm going to set you guys up over here and see if we can get this off here. All right, guys, hopefully you can see down in there okay. Hopefully these will come out. They're not all that tight. It's just a 15 regular Torx, even though it's supposed to be Torx Plus. It's a little bit loose. These are not that tight. Hopefully I'm not blocking the view too bad. I know it's hard to see down in here. That was a little bit more snug. Not too bad. And this is your solenoid here. I got one of them still holding on. Once you get your armature, not your armature, your solenoid loose, you just want to pull it up out of there like that. And you see your armature here. I don't know how well this is coming through. maybe you can see a little better now. Anyway, you got your spacer for your solenoid right here, and you look, there's a hole. Not all of them have holes, I don't think. This is for your oil to drain back out from under this armature plate. Still a hole, so it needs to go down, one on top, one at the bottom, so the oil can drain out. And anyway, you want to, I think factory is 4 thousandths under this plate, between this body and the plate. So you want to take a feeler gauge. This is a 2 thousandths feeler gauge. That's the minimum spec. So it needs to be 2 to 4. See, a 2 won't hardly go under there. It needs to go under on all 4 corners. It won't even go under there at the top. You know, just a little bit. So anyway, what you want to do is you want to put some shims under this here. You take this inverted 4.5 millimeter Torx they send you. You have to put this here back on there to hold this armature plate from turning. So you just take a couple of your solenoid screws here, put down in here like that right there. Then you take this inverted Torx here, and it takes quite a bit of pressure on this here to get it to bite in, and you turn that. Broke loose. You loosen it up like that right there. Then you can pull your 2 screws back out here. And your spacer, solenoid spacer plate back off. Okay, so now you just take this screw out right here. Note of which direction that this plate is right here. It's armature plate. I also need to look and see if there's been shimmed before. If these are reman injectors, it's a good chance there'll be shims in between here before. And what happens is when your clearance gets closer than 2 thousandths, this oil on here causes like a stiction, as you can see, that's sticking. And this plate will stick to this injector body right here. And this is your poppet valve. It moves up and down as the injector wears. It wants to move further, so it's out of spec. And this gets closer, and it sticks to here, and so it won't crank on cold start until the oil warms up, thins out. If you do get it running, say if you got 3 or 4 of them, you might can get it running on the other 3 or 4, and then the other cylinders start coming in as the motor warms up. And eventually it'll get so bad that it will not start, and that's what this one's done. So anyway, that you shim this up with little shims, shim it up this way, but that valve has also got wear in it coming the other direction, so you have to shim this solenoid coil up the equal amount to keep this from contacting this solenoid coil, and it'll cause it will short out. If it bottoms out, it'll throw a check engine light. But anyway, we're gonna go over here and pick out some shims. This is the little inverted Torx here that strips out. We're not gonna use it. They sent some new shims, so we're gonna use new shims, new screws. So we're gonna put some new screws in it along with some shims. Alright, so here's the shim kit that they send you. You can find these on eBay. I'm not sure about Amazon. This one come from eBay. And they actually send you some feeler gauge stock, a 2 and a 4 to check with. They send you some 1,000 shims. They send you some 2,000 shims for the armature shims. You can see it's got right on there, small hole for the 2,000 shims, 1,000 shims for the armature shims. You can see it's got right on there, small hole for the 2,000 shims. You can see it's got right on there, small hole for the 2,000 shims. You can see it's got right on there, small hole for the 2,000 shims. You can see it's got right on there, small hole for the 2,000 shims. You can see it's got right on there, small hole for the 2,000 shims. You can see it's got right on there, small hole for the 2,000 shims. You can see it's got right on there, small hole for the 2,000 shims. You can see it's got right on there, small hole for the 2,000 shims. You can see it's got right on there, small hole for the 2,000 shims. You can see it's got right on there, small hole for the 2,000 shims. You can see it's got right on there, small hole for the 2,000 shims. You can see it's got right on there, small hole for the 2,000 shims. You can see it's got right on there, small hole for the 2,000 shims. You can see it's got right on there, small hole for the 2 armature shims, and then you have the bigger shims. There's 40 in a package. There's a 2000s, a 3000s here. So if you want to shim this armature up, if you got less than 2000s clearance on that armature where we just checked, you add a 1 and a 2, that gives you 3. That puts you back to around the 4000s factory clearance, and you put a 3000s shim on your solenoid. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to get a 1 and a 2, bring it back up 3, because it's probably about 1000s clearance there now, and so that'll just give us back the factory 4. And then we're going to shim this up 3000s to accommodate the wear and the poppet valve in the up direction, that we're accommodating it with the shims from the down direction. So I'm just going to pick out the 2000s and a 1000s and put on the screw right here. We'll put this plate back on there. Alright, so we got our new screw. That's a T10 Torx, and we got 2 shims stacked on here, a 1 and a 3. The 1 is up under the 3 here, and we're going to turn this over and put our thumb on the shim to not drop the shim down in the motor or on the ground. And you take your screw, you kind of get it started on the hole there, and then you kind of let go of it, and the shims can't go anywhere, which those seem to be stuck to the oil anyways. Let's see. Yeah, they're stuck on the oil, but you just want to make sure not to drop them regardless. Make sure they stay on there. And then we're going to take our T10. That's our 15. We're going to get our T10, run it on down. Torque this to 25 inch-pounds, I believe it said, and then you want to check it with a 4000s feeler gauge. This is our 4000s feeler gauge they sent with it. It goes under there. It's fairly loose, a little loose, but it's got friction on it. It's you know, so that should work. And then I'm going to use the spacer here, just like we did taking it off, in order to tighten that back down to 25 inch-pounds. Put this on there. Pretty snug to me. It's about 22. That's all I'm going to go with it. I don't want to break it off. That feels pretty snug to me. They said 25, but that 20 to 25, that's 22, and that feels about as snug as I feel comfortable with tightening it. So that's all I'm going to do. That's an awfully small screw. I don't want to strip it out or break it off in there. So you want to make sure that your armature plate is back square, and then you take this, your solenoid, and you put your shims on those 4 screws and sandwich the shims in between here so that you don't drop it whenever you go back together with it. So let me grab some 3000 shims and put on here. All right, so this is our solenoid right here, and we have our 3000 thick shims on there. We'll put our plate, our spacer plate back on. That will keep the shims in place under there so you don't drop them. Flip it back over. Don't let your plate fall down. Make sure your oil relief screw or hole is here so that the oil can drain out and not stick up under there. And then you put it back together. Hopefully the camera's picking all this up. Just go right back down on top of the injector with it there. Like so. For electrical connector, it's a little easier. Go ahead and do that as you're doing it. Go back to our 15 bit. Alright guys, that's all there is to shimming these injectors. You just want between 3 and 4 thousandths space between that armature plate, and you have to space your solenoid up to keep the armature plate from hitting the solenoid when the poppet valve opens. That's about all there is to it. We're going to get the other 2 done here. I've done the first one here, and you couldn't really see it because some of this pipe, I didn't want to take this pipe all out. So I showed you the second one. I'm going to do the other 2, and then we're going to see if this thing will crank up on these 4 cylinders, because it was pretty much not hitting. It may have been hitting on 2 or 3, but it would not start. So we're going to see if it will start up after I get the other 2 done. Alright guys, I got all 4 on the driver's side done. I'm going to spin it over and see if she will attempt to start, or if it does start. I guess it is a negative. Alright guys, I got all the injectors shimmed, got everything put back together. Still got to pick my tools up, but we're going to see if this thing will crank and run and sound like a 7.3 powerstroke is supposed to sound. connection on the batteries. Sounds like it's still got one injector, it's not hitting like it should. We'll let it warm up and see if that changes. Alright guys, got it all put back together and I moved it outside the shop here. Got it sitting here running. As you can see, it still feels like it has a little bit of a skip to it. I don't know if it's a dead cylinder or if it's just a dirty injector or what's going on, but it's definitely got an exhaust leak that I can hear, and it's off the exhaust manifold where the exhaust manifold bolts to the turbo up pipe. I crawled up under there and looked, and I can see where the exhaust leak's coming from. Pretty bad exhaust leak, so I guess see what he wants to do about that. I'm sure he's going to fix that. And then go drive the truck, and I don't know how long this fuel's been in here. This truck's probably been sitting up a couple years, so it could be have some bad fuel in it, or one of those injectors could be damaged beyond, you know, what Shimming can fix from running it this long and the shape that it was in, or it could be another issue. I'm not sure, but it did get it running. It cranks good, and got it outside the shop, so we're gonna go drive it and see how things go. Anyway, I hope this helps somebody out with a 7.3 with some injector issues. Maybe something you can try, you know, if you don't have a whole lot of money to spend putting reman injectors in, buy you a shim kit, like 75 bucks or something on eBay, and see what that does to it. And then if you still have one or two injectors that it's giving you issues, at least you don't have to buy a set of 8 because all of these were out of spec. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Quick like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you next time.